Alright, so this will be a quick video on how to win and make all the money as an agency owner. Now, starting off, of course, everybody is trying to do well in what they do regarding any niche they happen to be in. But the problem that most of you have is that you have no niche. So you try to serve everybody. You try to serve everybody, doing everything. And I'm sure you've heard this before. Like, you should pick a niche, you should do something in particular. You should not serve everybody trying to do everything. You can't happen to be doing SEO, lead gen, and ads at the same time for somebody. So it would make sense if you just focused on one particular thing in one particular market. Or you could do one particular thing for many markets, or you could serve one market doing many things. But typically, when you're starting out, it makes more sense to do serving many markets doing one thing. That's what most people opt in for. But the alternative is fine. But this is what people usually opt in for. So the problem that all of you have is that you tend to start doing everything for everybody, and then you end up doing nothing for nobody because nobody is interested in taking services from a generalist. When people are looking to hire, they're looking to hire the best of the best, like the top 20%. If I was to give you a sum of money and then I asked you between guy A and guy B, guy A happens to be world class at what he does. He's top 10. And guy B is just, an average guy, but they do the same thing. They have the same services, they offer the same services. But guy A is world class, 10% of what he does. Guy B is okay, he's fine, he still gets results. But guy A is like really good at what he does. Given the fact that let's say guy A is let's call it 1500 USD to work with him, like you have to pay 1500, which is a steal in my opinion if he's top 10%. Versus guy B, who is let's say a thousand USD dollars to work with guy B. Without thinking too much, who would you pick? And why would you? Most of you will go with guy A, isn't it? Instead of guy B. But guy B is cheaper, and the difference in results are not too much. But then when you factor in how much you are spending, and then how much you intend to make from that spend, because of course everybody intends to put money somewhere to get an X amount of return. I don't know any of you that put $1 in and don't expect to get $2 out. So then paying somebody 1500 who's world class at what he does, you're just more guaranteed to get results, even better results than guy B, even though guy B is cheaper. So most of you will go with guy A. So where does this lead me? If anybody is going to hire your business, if you were to be that guy, this is you right now. You are the generalist right now. Right now you do SEO. You happen to do lead gen. Maybe you do ads too. You do content marketing, maybe some YouTube things. Probably you do video editing as well. You do all these things, and you happen to, let's say, be average at all of them. You can't really go far with that. Now I understand that your reasoning behind this may be, okay, if I just do many things, then maybe somebody would end up picking a niche that I could. Doesn't really work that way, because when people are looking to hire, people tend to focus on the return they can get from a particular investment. I don't know anybody who comes to a market and says they want SEO, lead gen, content at the same time. Most people, when they're looking for a service, it's usually just one particular service, and they're looking for the best person that can offer said particular service. So the problem you have is that you are trying to do everything at once, and that is obviously not working. So now, what's the obvious solution to this? Now, you should pick something that you can do and you can do well. And just so you know, every niche has its ups and downs. No niche is perfect. No service delivery is perfect. Lead gen, like what I do lead gen. It works. It has its pros and it also has its cons too. Copywriting has its pros, it has its cons. SEO has its pros and it has its cons. Choosing one service delivery meg because you see someone making money from that is not really a good indicator to whether you should go for that meg. Simply because each service delivery type has its own particular nuance that you should be aware of. There are just some things that don't suit me very well. For example, I'm not really a design guy, so you will never see me doing creatives, UGC ads. Like you just never see me doing that. Therefore, I would never be working in the ads industry. The highest thing I would probably be doing is media buying, but then media buying these days is not even that valuable. Anybody can do media buying, but you would never see me creating ads on Canva or something. You won't see, I'm not the design type person, so you will not see me doing that for obvious reasons. There's lots of money to be made there, yes, I agree, but there is a lot of money to be made everywhere else. So then it comes to your own personal decision on what you are trying to do and where you believe you can make the highest impact, because everybody is different. Just because somebody is doing one thing and having results with it doesn't mean that you should go for it too. But then you should also factor in return on investment, because some niches are lucrative than others, so you have to factor that into. So now that you know that you are doing everything for everybody and it's obviously not working, what are the implications of doing what you're doing if you keep on doing what you're doing? Now, I'm sure you're aware that there are companies out there who are doing what I said you should not do, and they seem like they're doing very well. Like you see some agencies that, they serve everybody. Like they do everything for everybody, and it looks like they're doing well. They have case studies, they have testimonials, they have LinkedIn content. It looks like they are doing very well in what they do. But most of these people are not making any money, no progress. Most of their customers come from referrals. And sure, referrals are good. I agree with you there, but depending on something like as unpredictable as that is just cancer for your business. You're not going to go very far doing that. That's one thing I can assure you. If you're depending on referrals or even content to sustain your business, your B2B business, you're not, there's just no way. You're probably going to hit a rock at one point. And if you cannot ramp through that rock or keep on going forward when you hit that rock, then you are sure to collapse. That's why you need to have like a predictable system. I know you've heard this a lot, but then it's very true. You need to have like a predictable system where you can get clients like this, like you can just get them. It's a very possible thing to do, and then you should have that as an agency owner or B2B service owner. But most of you watching this are agency owners. This is a new channel, but most of you that will come to this new channel will be agency owners. So what exactly should you do then if you know you're not supposed to be doing everything for everybody? Now that you've probably picked a niche, you know you're supposed to serve this. Now your next step would be to know who your customer is and what kind of customers are looking for the service that you do, right? So it's one thing to know who you're serving, then it's another thing to know what that person needs that you're serving. The person who is trying to buy ad creatives, they are not looking for ad creatives. Like, do you understand? Like, when somebody does something, you need to understand the function to which they do it. For example, now, I go into the restroom, to do stuff. Maybe to take a shower or, to ease myself or something. Maybe in retrospect, maybe not, maybe that is even a terrible example. But let's say you bought a car, like, you drive. The function of the car is to get you from point A to point B, right? So if you're trying to talk to your prospect about, these new windshield wipers are like really good, they're like high quality, they were made in like Italy or something like that, your customer doesn't care about the windshield wipers. It's like, how efficiently and effectively can this car take me from point A to point B? That's all that matters. And that's why you see a lot of people end up driving cars from brands like Toyota, because they are just so reliable, because they get the job done without any fuss or hassle. So then you need to understand the function that your customer is looking to achieve. Like, the car is just a way to get there, but you're trying to see the end goal as to what the customer is trying to achieve with the car. Maybe the customer is trying to get to a restaurant, like a high quality restaurant, and they want to avoid lateness. Like, they need to be there on time, and they want to buy like a reliable car that doesn't like break down on the road while they're going to that restaurant. So then if you walk up to your prospect and you then say, oh, sorry, this car looks good for you, and then the tires seem to have X mileage, and then they seem to go as far as this, and then they get you to places A and B, and then you just bring in the restaurant job. Oh yeah, and then when you're going to fast places, like for example, you're going to a restaurant, like their ears perk up because it's interesting to them. You understand the reasons behind what they do. You see how that is, like you understand what the reasons behind what they do. So when somebody buys ad creatives, they are looking to just make an ROI on the ads that they are running, because they believe ad creatives work. The better the ad creative, the more money that you make. So that's why they invest in ad creatives. You would invest in a car because you believe that you would spend less time commuting or going to wherever you want to, right? So the function as to which you do something is more important than the thing you are actually getting, right? So if you understand this well enough, then you would stand out from everybody else, because everybody else is stuck selling, what they want, what they think the prospect wants. So if you're selling ad creatives, I don't even know how you guys sell ad creatives. Well, like, if you're selling something and then you're doing it in such a way that where you're selling the end result is like an awesome product, that's not the end, because that's not the prospect's end result. The end result is that maybe your prospect wants to make a 4x return on the ad spend, or your prospect wants to cut marketing costs by like 50% without extra overhead or something like that. So then when you focus on like the end result, and of course in most cases the end result is usually more money, but you have to be more sophisticated than that. If you just tell your prospect, oh, we'll make you an extra 18 grand or 70 grand, that is true. The end result is more money, yes, but you have to be more sophisticated than that. If you're just too blunt about it, like, more money how? Oh, you make more money by doing XYZ, and then we'll leverage this with that. Okay, yes, I understand. Okay, can we move forward? Instead of saying, okay, you make more money doing this. So don't go that way. Sure, the end result is more money, but then you have to understand that how the prospect wants to understand how. Explaining the how increases trust, which leads me to my next point. When you're really good at what you do, like when you do what you do like really well, people tend to trust you more. If you just happen to know 20% of everything, like 20% of SEO, 20% of how to run ads, maybe 40% of how to build VSL funnels, like nobody's going to talk to you. You're not that useful to people. But when you happen to know like 100% of SEO, Neil Patel, for example, no one is going to talk to you. Everybody's going to go to Neil Patel when a new SEO update comes up. If you want to know how AI is going to change the search rankings in the next 5 years, nobody's going to come to you. You don't know anything about SEO to that extent. Everybody's going to go to Neil Patel. You're going to go to people who happen to be the best at what they do. So people believing in you, you have to first of all believe in yourself. I know that what you are doing is one singular thing that you can do extremely well. Once you've solved that problem, then getting customers becomes a lot easier. So there's probably something you're doing now that you're doing well. You probably have a couple of clients that you've been serving or working for. What I want you to do is simply ask those clients, or just look at the results that you've gotten for them. What consistent results have you been able to get over the time you've worked for them? Maybe you've done a few webinar funnels, and all the webinar funnels you've done for your clients seem to be working well, but the SEO optimization strategy that you give to them does not seem to be working. Well, then you just double down on the funnels and just become that guy that's good at making webinar funnels. It's just 10 times better.